The command center was a silent vigil as each race was keeping an eye on their teams, while the Duchess stood over the central table that currently had the whole system up on the holo display. David's eyes were on the three dots that were slowly approaching the planet X5001C. Off to the side he could see Alaris watching a different one that held Kiga in its hull. She had pushed to be allowed on the expedition to X5001A, and it was her first mission. And Alaris is afraid for her safety, which is fair but unwarranted, as Kiga is now an adult and can take care of herself. "Command, come in," Samantha's voice called him. Her group was on their final approach to the planet. "This is Command. Go ahead," he said as he cupped his ear around the speaker. "We are entering the atmosphere, but we are seeing some abnormal weather patterns requesting a recheck." She says back, a ping of nervousness. "Heard and will pass on the request to verify the scan," he said a bit louder and turned to the Duchess. "Duchess, can we get a recheck on the scan of X5001C? They say the weather patterns are unusual." "Duchess, my science team is reporting the same thing. They are requesting we recheck the data," adds Jaylock. Alaris turned to the Duchess after talking to one of the Zondradanes. "Same as mine, Duchess. One of the environmental scientists is saying that the formation they are seeing isn't right." The Duchess seems to be overwhelmed for a second. "Jaylock, have the techs run a check. David, tell the expedition to stay out of the atmosphere," she orders, turns to the map, and watches the dots more closely. "Trainer to Command, hold outside the atmosphere, I repeat. Hold outside the atmosphere," David says a bit dramatically. Jaylock talks to one of his techs and turns around. "Duchess, we have a problem." He taps on his terminal. There was a glitch in the software of the identification system, placing new information up as the holo map switches to the real information. The Duchess looks at the reading. Her feathers start expanding and her arms drop to her sides, a normal reaction for her people to a fear of something they don't understand. She turns to Jaylock, a ping of panic in her eyes. "Recheck this." "We have, Duchess. The planet is being terraformed. There is someone on the surface," Jaylock says quickly. "David, tell the expedition to hold." The Duchess spins and points her arm. "Jaylock, check how this didn't make it to us, and someone find me why it has been terraformed into a barren world." David speaks into his mic. "Trainer, new info. The planet is being terraformed. You are to hold." "A Xanderfane science member has a theory. He would like to patch in," she says. "1 second." David looks up and turns to the Duchess. "One of the Xanderfane has a theory. Permission to patch through." She hears him, then nods, and David presses the request through. "Go ahead. Quiznag here, Duchess. I believe that the terraforming effort is to make the planet a garden world again, but I don't know why." "Duchess, a tech has found a glitch in the drone software. A dispatch request got stuck in the maintenance cycle," Jaylock says, before looking down, and then back up like he heard something wrong. "Duchess, the video it has in the dispatch is what?" the Duchess snaps. "It's an attempted extermination," Jaylock says in a grim voice. And for the first time, everyone freezes, and all heads turn to Jaylock. The act of destroying a whole world is a crime of the highest order, and is the only one in the community that has the death penalty as a potential outcome. "I must verify this. Please send it to my personal terminal," the Duchess says. Then watches the video, no audio, but the image is clear. Her hand covers her beak as she plays the video again. Then turns to David. "Your expedition is now a search and rescue. The native population was attacked. Have your people make contact and render aid, and someone patch the captain in," she rattles off. David switches to an expedition-wide channel and set himself as a priority speaker. "Expedition, this is Command. Mission update. This is now a first contact. The native population was attacked. Search and rescue is now the priority. You are to find survivors and render aid while offering more assistance on behalf of the Council. Confirm orders." There is a short silence, then all the teams on his display send a confirmed ping, and he looks over to Alaris and Jaylock, who give him a nod as their people confirm the orders. The Duchess is off to the side before she comes back in. "We have new orders. All excess personnel that can withstand the environment are being dispatched to X5001C to assist the expedition," she says and turns to David. "A tight beam has been sent to Earth. We expect a response tomorrow. Your team leader will have to assign a first to make diplomatic contact. David switched to a direct connection to Samantha. Trainer, this is Command. Come in. Go ahead, Command. You are to select a first as per protocol and attempt to make first contact with the native population. How copy? David followed in after the confirmation. Good copy. Request permission to start our descent, Samantha said back. Permission granted. Reinforcements en route. Command out, David said after looking over vitals, then his eyes wander over to the expedition text channel. Text channel CFT-1. Hans, what's the likelihood they can talk in common? HFT-3. Not high, but I'm not a linguist. HST-1. I wonder what they will look like. ZST-3. That is a good question. VST-5. I can deploy a drone once we get low enough. VST-1. No, you can't. The drone wouldn't be fast enough to stay close to the shuttle. VST-2. How about you just look out a window for now? CFT-3. No windows on our shuttles. Can set up a live feed. Gotta ask the pilots. CFT-1. Please don't distract the pilots. ZST-1. I agree, we need to land first. Then we can look around. After-1. Wait, you guys didn't ask before you left. CFT-1. Hearth, you are the only person that likes to watch Space be Space. HST-5. If the buildings I can see are an indication, then we are looking at some kind of small race. ZST-1. Oh, HST-5. Yeah, most of the openings I can see that would be windows, I think, are only about 4 feet tall at the highest. VST-5. So they would be about our size then? HST-5. I think, just a guess. HST-4. Most of the structures are still standing. ZST-1. So, HST-4. Well, the environment is currently toxic at best. HST-1, or corrosive at worst. So if the building is still standing, it means the material is strong. AFT-1. Samantha, can you request an update on the nature of the attack? CFT-1. I can, but I don't think they will give it to us. ZST-1. I can send a request too, if it helps. VST-1. So can I. It would help us paint a picture of the scale of the damage. CFT-1. Okay, I'll send it. Wait 1 sec. Text channel. Command, this is Trainer. Come in, Samantha said. Go ahead, Trainer. The expedition leaders would like to know the nature of the attack, requesting data, Samantha said in a bit of annoyance. 1 second, David looked up to the Duchess. Duchess, the expedition is requesting to know the nature of the attack. The Duchess stops going through some lists and looks at him, her mind trying to find words. To what end? The people down there need help. They would like to know so they can assess the damage better and know what to look for. Fine. You have my permission to send the data, she says as she turns away to talk with the Lithrani leader. Trainer, this is Command. Data away. Confirm on receival, David said as he allowed the edited video to go. Good copy and received. Text channel CFT-1. Here you go, ZST-1. What in the world? VST-1. Why would they do this? HST-3. My goddess. HST-1 by Gaia MCA. That is not right, BFT-4. Dear goddess. CFT-1. I think we can all agree that this is a horrible thing to have happened. ZST-1. We may not be welcome to help. VST-1. It is our duty to try AFT-1. Agreed. BFT-1 seconded. HST-1. We have to help. Just be kind and gentle. CFT-1. Angela, what are our supplies for medical care like? MCA. We can patch Hearth up 5 times over if needed, but I cannot set up a hospital. HST-3. So, enough to save a small city then? MCA. With Gaia's grace, maybe? I don't know their biology. I'll need your help, Hans. HST-3. I am at your disposal. CFT-1. Okay, heads up ETA. 2 mines. Check your gear and seal your suits. Orders over voice. Text channel. David switches to the expedition-wide channel to listen in. Okay, by now you should have all seen that happened to these people. When we land, Alpha and Bravo will set up a perimeter. Fire only if fired upon. Samantha was using her parade ground voice, which is perfect for this. Team 1 and 2, you guys will help Charlie unload and set up a campsite. Team 3, I want a wide drone sweep. If you find someone, tell a member of Alpha or Bravo and lead them. We are here to save as many as we can. Angela, we will get your things set up first. Everyone clear? Firebat here. I can see natives below. Daniela jumps on. Whiskey business, I see them too. It looks like... Oscar starts. Looks like what? Samantha asks. They are trying to direct us. Orders? Oscar says. Follow their lead, Samantha orders. Text channel HST-1. Holy shit, HST4. Hey, Villanis, you have cousins, HST3? Ha! Convergent evolution wins this one, VST1. What do you mean? VST2? What does that mean? HST1. The natives are a foot shorter and are scaly, not furry, but they resemble your kind. VST1. By the code, CFT1. Kiandur, you are our first. I think that would make it easier. VST1, I will do my best. Text channel. David was watching the display. The new teams were away in their ships. 10 more teams, all laden with supplies the captain could spare. To everyone's surprise, the natives of this planet were very much like the Villanis, with key differences, and despite their circumstances are very friendly. Their native dialect was similar to Villane, the Villanis language, which sped up the first contact efforts. They refer to themselves as the Jiao Anarm, and are on average 4 feet long, and stand about 3 off the ground with the other one forming their tails. They are omnivores in a loose sense, and can eat both insects and plants, which meant we are a saving grace to them. However, they had lost by their own count about 77% of their population, so our intervention is a godsend to them. They survived because they had considered the possibility of extraplanetary life, and came to the conclusion that it may not be friendly. Jiao Anrim are scaly, but not like those of a gecko, more like the horned lizard way, and had a great sense for metallurgy, used a unique material in their planet in most of their structures, something that has Anastasia and 2 other scientists up in arms at the sheer mineral diversity on their planet. And to use her own words, they can build things we need asteroid fields to make without leaving, which raised a few questions. Nevertheless, the mission was proceeding smoothly, and Samantha even managed to get a confirmation that the Jiao do not know why or by who they were attacked. However, they have stated that if they did, they would likely request help bringing their attackers to justice, a thought David believed would be coming sooner rather than later. David was watching the feed on the teams. They had been directed to an abandoned airport of some kind and had been allowed to set it up as a base camp for aid efforts. Not too bad so far. Most of the scientists that didn't go down are right now trying to figure out if the Jiao Anarm can stay on their home world or if they would have to relocate. David considered the relocation idea. Their population had gone from about 3 million to about 1, and an effort to relocate them can be done. It would tax the community's coffers hard, but could be done. The issue is where to take them. Not a lot of planets that are suitable to them are unused, and the community can't force a race to take them in. At best, a motion would be brought before the council, and then it would take 5 to 10 weeks for a decision to be made. However, the Jiao Anarm didn't need to leave in the strictest sense. Their terraforming efforts are straightforward and blunt, but could see their homeworld return to its former state. An effort that, with the community's help, would be sped up a lot. David wasn't sure when or what path the Jiao Anarm would take, after all. It's their homeworld, not a colony. He was torn out of his musings as a hand touched his shoulder, and he snapped to the movement to see Emma, a bit sleepy still, but she had a cup of coffee in hand and was ready to start. "Hey, Emma," David said as he stood. "Okay, let's bring you up to speed. The native population is called Jiao Anrim. They are an excellent example of convergent evolution. As you can see, they are similar to the Villanis." David pulled up a picture of a male and a female Jiao Anarm agreed to take. They are trying to terraform their planet back to its former state. Efforts are underway to take care of the sick from exposure to their planet's new air quality. And search teams are actively looking for more survivors. However, they are already down to 1/3 of their population from the attack on their planet. He stepped out and let Emmy take his seat. They can speak with the Villanis, their dialects having a close relation. So most of the diplomatic efforts are been handled by them. Right now, the teams are coordinating search and rescue. Questions? Emmy slid the chair in a bit and put her cup down, and looked over the information that the teams have cataloged. "No. Andrew will be here in 4, so I'll just keep an eye on our teams, so go get some sleep," she said as she pulled up some scans of their industrial equipment. David couldn't help but smile a bit. Emmy was one of the best. Then he turned his gaze over to Alaris, who was going over a debrief to her second and their assistants. Alaris's second is her sister Jilris, the one that was spying and panicking in the gym and has a record of being wise and calm when under pressure. A good choice as a second. Emmy, the Xandraphane second is Jilris. She is smart and capable. Just ask her if you aren't sure of anything, okay? David said after a second of thought. Okay, now go sleep, Emmy said as she tried to push him a bit away into the door. Okay, have a good shift, he let out with a chuckle, then turned and joined Alaris on her way out. As they stepped out into the hallway, her posture shifted and relaxed a bit. He, too, felt a bit of weight off his shoulders. Then she turned to him as they walked, heading towards her cabin based on what David could tell. So, Zhao Anrim, what you think of them? Alaris asked, her face showing a genuine interest. Well, if they can fix their planet and their population picks back up, David thought over his logic one more time, then spoke. They could easily be one of the richest races out here. Yeah, that's what I figured. My geologist said they have an abundant supply of resources on their planet, Alaris said as she maneuvered around the corner. Do you think whoever did this knew about it, like this was an attempt to remove them, to claim the planet and mine it dry? That's my theory. You don't really need to care about the ecological impact when you have already destroyed it, David said with a grim face. But that would mean you also need to come back, so let's hope that this was just wanton destruction rather than a goal-driven act. Yeah, let's hope so, she responded, a ping of fear and pain in her voice. Her people have suffered the bite of xenocide attacks, and this was that, but to a brutal degree. The Jack Kale would at least not glass you from orbit. Do you think the Republic will send aid? She asked after a minute of silence. Yeah, and they will do it soon, David said in as reassuring a voice as he could. Odds are it will be some hospital ships of the Red Cross and a patrol group from the Fifth Fleet. Most likely to be a battle cruiser and some frigates. If whoever did this came back, they would have a hard time getting close. That's nice to hear. The Zhao Anrim had suffered enough, she said, her wrathful eyes staring straight ahead. I will demand the Conclave sends aid, too. None should have to suffer this kind of attack. She faltered for a second. Not unless they would do so to others. I couldn't agree more, David said, his pace a bit faster than before as she picked up speed. Alaris, you know that humanity will do all we can to help the Zhao Anrim, right? Her pace slowed back down. Yes, it's just I can't get over the idea of doing something that... She seemed lost inside her mind for a second, allowing her muscle memory to take hold and guide her savage without remorse. I can understand that, David responded. I once thought that too. What changed? She asked hesitantly. I saw too many of my men die and too many people be killed. And the thing that eats away the restraints of such action is that everyone's blood always mixes, and you get angry at the death of anyone. Maybe it is a human mindset thing. But anger eventually gives way to hate, and hate is a strong emotion. David said with a hint of a deep understanding behind his voice. It is an emotion that can drive you to be blind to your enemy, can make you feel no empathy for anyone, forces you down a path, one that is self-destructive. He inhaled deep and grabbed Alaris's hand. But if you break free from it before it's too late, you will see that sometimes there are those who embrace that hate and others whose whole lives are in pursuit of it, yet both need to be stopped even at that high a price. He pulled her in close, lifting his visor up over his forehead. And when you see them, you have to clearly and carefully ask, if I stayed my hand, would they stop killing? She stopped and looked at him, her eyes studying the visage he showed, the careful measures of his voice, the look in his eyes past the silvered wash. I think I understand. You humans have seen the worst of yourselves and you didn't blink. She took in a deep inhale and pulled him along. I don't think I could do that. Look so far into myself, but I can at least make sure you have a reason to blink every now and then, David Solomon. And I would never deny your company, Alaris Hincarno, he said as they came around the last corner to her room, their pace quickening as they saw it.